All right. Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? As per usual on Thursday, I'm your host, Richie T, also known as Richard T, coming at you live. So, what I'm bringing today for you on this fine Thursday is a Sam Black special. And now, he played this deck at an MCQ, did pretty well, recommended some changes, and the deck looked really fun, so I thought I'd give it a try. So first and foremost, we are a Sultai deck in Modern. So we have our traditional 8 blue Sultai fetches in Misty and Polluted Delta. But then we're primarily a blue deck, so for our extra fetches, we have 2 Flooded Strands and a Scolding Tarn. Couple Shocks and 2 Watery Graves, a Breeding Pool. And then we have our basics and 3 Snow-Covered Islands, a Snow-Covered Forest, and a Snow-Covered Swamp. The last couple lands in the deck, we have a 1-of Field of Ruin for trying to deal with opponents' lands, such as like Tron. And then we have the reason for the deck and the name of the deck, which is Sultai Sanctuary, based off Mystic Sanctuary, which is a land that, if you control 3 or more islands, enters untapped and puts an instant or sorcery on top of the deck. So I'm really curious to see how the power level of this card is. A lot of people are saying that this card is bonkers, but I'm not 100% sure on it, so we're going to have to take it for a spin and see. We got some cantrips in our deck in 4 Opt and 4 Thought Scour. We will typically be Thought Scouring our opponent for cards like Drown in the Lock and Into the Story. For removal, we got 4 Fatal Push, as it's the cheapest removal spell in Sultai. An Abrupt Decay for dealing with troublesome permanents out of control decks. 2 Trophies for dealing with other Tron lands or other lands and bigger permanents that Abrupt Decay can't hit. And then we got the new card that's really making Blue-Black X control decks big again, which is Drown in the Lock. Because this is essentially Counterspell or Doomblade for these decks if you can get enough cards in your opponent's graveyard, which based off the 1-for-1 that this deck is built off of, you'll get on pretty easily. Couple discard spells, which I'm not sure about. Usually discard and counter don't go very well, but we're going to give it a try. 2 Inquisition, 2 Thoughtseize. And then for our win cons, we have 2 Pulse of Marasa to rebuy our creatures and gain some extra life. And Into the Story as a big card draw spell. A Deprive as a way to bounce our Mystic Sanctuary, replay it, put another card we want on top, so on and so forth. A couple Cryptic commands to do the same thing. A Trade Route and a Time Warp, which go hand in hand together, because the way that this works is this is actually your main win con, is you cast Time Warp, get your extra turn. You then Trade Routes, pick up your Mystic Sanctuary, play Mystic Sanctuary as land for turn, put Time Warp on top. So essentially, this is a 7 mana. It's a 6 mana infinite turns in your control deck. And on top of that, if you have extra lands, you can just discard them to draw some cards. And then to actually win, we have 1 Vendilion Click and 4 Snapcaster Mages as just the best control creatures. Moving on to the sideboard, we got a couple extra counter spells and 2 Ceremonious Rejections for the colorless decks. A Stroke for the big mana decks. A Force of Negation for any non-creature deck that we may want some extra counter spells in. Some extra hate cards and 3 Surgicals and an Ashiok for trying to deal with graveyard decks. Ashiok also good against Valakut. A Weather the Storm for against Burn. A couple Collector Oofs for against the artifact decks. A couple Plague Engineers for the creature decks. An Assassin's Trophy for when we just need a catch-all answer. And then an Engineered Explosives for blowing up a bunch of stuff. So before we get on to our games, as per usual, I want to hop over to momsbasementgames.tcgplayerpro.com and tell you guys to make sure you pick up all your singles from there. If you need islands or plains for your blue-white control deck, Chandra Acolyte of Flame for your standard mono-red deck, or Drawn from Dreams for your standard Fires decks, Mom's Basement Games has you covered. For everybody watching on YouTube in the future, thank you. Check down that description box below for all the links that I'm going to be talking about. But try to tune in live to our Twitch sometimes. We'd really appreciate that. Everybody watching live on Twitch right now and on the YouTube in the future, thank you. Try to check out our social medias. Give us a like on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at MomsBasementMTG. And for everybody watching on Twitch right now, try to check out our YouTube channel at one point for the best standard, modern, vintage, Commander, Pauper, and Commander content. On top of that, I would super appreciate it if you gave me a follow on Twitter. My Twitter is @RichardTMTG. I talk Magic, League, memes, food, anything else you want to talk about, hit me up on Twitter. I'm always willing to talk. If you're looking for another form of social media, you can find us at Mom's Basement Games on Instagram, at Mom's Basement Games. And you can find me on Instagram at RichieT2196. But I think that's enough talking. How about we get into the games and try to Sultai some people. Sultai's always been one of my favorite color combinations, but I've always felt like it's never quite found its home in Modern. And I'm interested to see if this shell could be what Sultai needed. We found our opponent pretty quickly, which is awesome. Hit him with the GLHF. And we would love to be on the play. Ooh, unfortunately we're not playing Hearthstone, so this one's a pretty easy mulligan. Rough start. We probably have to go to 5 here. I don't really think we can keep a 5-lander, even though, like, we do really want our lands in a control deck, but I don't think this one Thoughtseize is going to protect us enough. So, kind of a shaky start having a mulligan so much. Our opponent's trying to decide if they want a mulligan or not. While we wait for our opponent, how about I start off by telling you guys about our giveaway we're doing this month. We're giving away a box of Throne of Eldraine. The way you can get entered into that is if you give us a follow on Twitch, you'll automatically be entered into our giveaway. Our opponent decided to keep. And then if you would like to earn some extra entries, you can either subscribe to us on Twitch or donate to our Patreon, earning yourself up to 3 entries total. So we're going to take a mulligan here. We're definitely going to keep this. This is a lot better. Probably going to ship the Forest back and the Pulse, I think. Then we're going to lead off Basic Island and pass. We'll opt end of our opponent's turn. Looks like Valakut, a bird. Not Valakut then. Maybe some Ponza action. We'll go ahead and bottom that other land. Abrupt Decay kind of awkward with Basic Island. Alright, so we're just going to play this Misty and pass here. See what our opponent's up to. We have Deprive if we need it. We also have Abrupt Decay next turn. Turn 2 Oko. Yeah, I think I just don't want to cast Deprive right now. So we'll Thought Scour our opponent. Looks like they might be the 5-color Niv Mizzet deck. So I really don't want them making an elk here. So I think we're just gonna take our beats. Grab a Breeding Pool and Abrupt Decay this Oko. Who knows what they'll do for 4 mana. I know 5 we're definitely going to want to have up Deprive or Cryptic. Preferably Cryptic Command. This seems like a tough matchup though. Just another deck that can grind super hard with us. Bloodbraid Elf. Into Lightning Helix. Well, Bloodbraid is pretty good. Alright, well, I think we're going to go ahead and Inquisition and then hold up Deprive here. Kaya trophy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess we'll take the trophy for when we try to set up a win con. We have answers for the Kayas, and they're pretty repetitive, so. Unfortunately, we might just die to this Bloodbraid Elf if we don't draw an answer to it. I suppose we can get Trixie here. We can fetch up a Mystic Sanctuary and put the Inquisition on top. So that way we can Inquisition the other Kaya. Then we can deprive this picking up the Mystic Sanctuary. So that was neat. Then another bird from our opponent. So we'll go ahead and Inquisition them here. Take their last card. And yeah, we don't really want to miss a land drop, so I think we'll just probably go ahead and not put anything on top. Pass it back to our opponent. We're unfortunately going to be at 3. There's just not a whole lot we can do about that. Yeah, that's kind of the big thing with the that just kills us. Yep. The thing with the 5-color Niv Mizzet deck is like it's so hard to beat it trying to like play another like value grind you out deck because they literally can have anything they want. Engineers don't seem great. Pulses don't seem great. Stroke does. Our combo seems okay. Collector Oof and Weather don't quite seem needed. I know Abrupt Decay did stuff there, but a lot of their stuff costs more mana. Surgical doesn't really seem like we want to be there. Neither does Ceremonious. And now we have 2 more cuts. I think the EE is probably just not how we want to fight this deck. Well, maybe EE is better than a couple Fatal Pushes, actually. They only really have, like, birds we can hit early. Yeah. I think we're going to go ahead and try it like this. Ashiok seems great for this matchup, just shuts off Bring to Light. Okay. Question is, do we start with Thoughtseize, or do we try to make sure that this... I guess we can Thoughtseize them and then decide if we want push or lock up on the next turn. Grab a Watery Grave and Thoughtseize. Alright, what do we got here? We got a bird, a decay, a Kaya, and a bring to light. Well, the decay is super annoying. I think we take the decay, push the bird, and then Ashiok will shut off the bring to light and we can kill the Kaya with drown. That seems like the play. What are you willing to lose? Alright. So that's pretty good for us. That means we can actually get value out of this. So I think we're just gonna Misty, push, and then pass. We'll fetch end of turn. Grab our breeding pool tapped. Okay. That's pretty cool with Ashiok. We'll grab an island. And we'll cast Ashiok. I think the first down tick is free. I think the other one's kind of risky. And back to them. What did we get? We got an Astrolabe, a Pillar, and 2 Bring Delights. Not bad. So we know 3 of their 6 cards. Notably, Ashiok in this drown is actually a Nambo. Huh. That's kind of awkward, actually. I didn't quite think about that. Wow, we're like super punished for using Ashiok here. So I think we kind of just want to draw a land next turn, so we're going to just Ashiok them again. We got Astrolabe, Oko, Bird, and Bloodbraid Elf this time. Yeah, Ashiok might not actually be that good in this deck then. Okay. Cryptic can be an answer to Kaya or a reset for our Ashiok if we ever need it. Well, we're definitely countering Teferi here. We could counter bounce Mystic Sanctuary, put Cryptic on top. No, I think counter draw is probably the correct call. Although we could counter bounce Kaya. Let's just counter draw. I think we want to try to hit something for this time warp. Okay, that's not bad. So I think anything that punishes us, we can... Oh, we don't have black, though. I think we just say go here. Okay. So we'll say go. Now we're just sitting on the old cryptic train. We could do so much more if we didn't exile our opponent's graveyard, actually. Okay. That's getting us somewhere. That'll almost put us up to 7 cards in our opponent's yard. Our opponent seems to be flooding out here a little bit. Alright, so we're going to Thought Scour them. Looks like our opponent's got a Kolaghan's Command here. That's pretty unfortunate. I guess we'll discard this Time Warp. And then we'll Snapcaster Thought Scour. Notably, that did put 7 cards in their graveyard. So we can end the story whenever the coast is clear. I think I want to try my best to make sure that they won't have a counter spell, so we're going to Inquisition them. Nope, just land Bring Delight. Alright. So this Cryptic can counter bounce Mystic Sanctuary. And then put Cryptic on top with the plans to opt into Cryptic if we ever need it. We should probably fetch first. I think we'll just grab another Watery Grave here. Counter return. Alright, and our opponent concedes that one. Yeah, this card is probably... I understand why it's here and, like, the matchups it's good for. And I think we have to play it because it is in our deck. But this card should probably be, like... I'm not really sure. Should definitely be something else. Maybe it should be, like, Maybe just, like, a 4th surgical. Or maybe even a, This hand's fine. What's that card? The, I kind of want to double spell next turn. So I think we're just going to Sanctuary pass. Shadow of Doubt. That's the card I'm thinking of. Pentad Prism. Man, they're rampant in Niv. Well, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a Watery Grave. And Thoughtseize them. They have an Oko, K-Command, Bloodbraid Elf. Well, Bloodbraid Elf is definitely the worst card for us here, so... I guess we'll take the BVE. Yeah, this is one of those matchups that... Or this is one of those games where it doesn't really look the best for me. They've drawn a lot of their value cards. Pillar for land for turn, and I assume an Oko. Well, we will attempt to opt. Yeah, I unfortunately think we need to draw that. Turn your Astrolabe into a 3/3. Yep. Okay, well, that answers that. I think we're just going to say go for now. So I don't think we're blocking this. Yep, you got a food. So we're gonna Thought Scour them. Then we unfortunately have to fetch Shock. Maybe we weren't supposed to take that hit. We'll attempt a Trophy Oko. K-Command. Yep. We'll discard this Trade Routes because it looks kind of stupid, honestly. Do we ever have a way to pick that up? I guess not, but I feel like this is a match where we're maybe even just supposed to sideboard it out. Well, it's not the worst. Go ahead, opponent. I think we're just gonna, like, die to damage this game, unfortunately. Here comes Bloodbraid. Deal. I'll float a blue. Yes. And we'll get a swamp here. And I suppose we'll counter the BBE. They're going to cast the Oko, which we will force by pitching this Vendilion Click. So we might have been able to stabilize here because they cast that Fatal Push. Alright, hope for a land. Alright, go ahead, opponent. Well, we will fetch. Get an island. And counter draw. Okay. Alright. The top of our deck has been pretty good to us so far. We only have 4 Snapcasters to win the game, though. This is 100% getting Disdainful Stroked, whatever it is. Disdainful Stroke. Get that thing out of here. Play this land and pass. That means we can put a Cryptic back on top of our deck, so... Alright. Get the Sanctuary. Trigger the Sanctuary, put Cryptic on top. Yes, I would like to use this ability. Say go, opponent. End of turn, we can Cryptic, draw a card, bounce the Sanctuary, and start up a small engine. This deck's really sweet. Return target permanent to its owner's hand, draw a card. Alright, opponent, the engine's online, just don't kill me. I suppose with 2 and enough mana, we can combo also. Uh-oh. Well, I needed you to not have it for a turn, opponent. I don't think our odds of, like, winning through our opponent having this was going to get any better anyways. So they get a Kaya's Guile, a Bring Delight, a Teferi, and an Abrupt Decay. Yep. Yeah, again, this is one of those matchups that you're probably never going to beat in a million years with a deck like this. Because they're just a deck that grinds even harder than you. The reason why I did the cryptic play is I knew my opponent had to not have anything, or else they would have done it when I put the cryptic on top in the first place. And I figured they would have just cast it. So I think they drew it this turn. I don't think they were sandbagging it. And I think I just needed to try to get up on cards in case they ever did double spell me. Because say they cast like an Oko and then did that, I think I still had to make the play I did. Wow, I guess they did sandbag me. Oh no, this is probably just Kaya's Guile. Sure. Well, our outs are getting kind of slim. But we're going to see how many times we can Cryptic Command and hopefully get out of this game. I'm pretty sure if our opponent plays everything right, we're 100. There's actually no way we're not dead if our opponent plays this right. Yeah. Unfortunate. Really rough match to start with, I think. I think our deck is a little more interactive and probably has a better chance against the more aggressive decks. Or against against us, that's where the 5-color Niv-Mizzet decks really shine. Is against the other controlling mid-rangey decks. Just because every card in their deck is double ours. But even as you've seen, we were really... A lot of people I know are really crapping on this card, saying that it's not as good as everyone says it is. But it looked really good that game. Alright, we won the die roll again, hit our opponents with a GLHF, and we will be on the play. Sure. Sand's fine, nothing to write home about. Got some early interaction, so... Pulse for land drops or Vendilion Click. Mystic Sanctuary can rebuy what we need. We have our 3 islands for Mystic Sanctuary here. Our opponent fetches on 1. Gets a breeding pool. And casts a Glistener Elf. Well, I will fetch a Watery Grave. And cast the card Fatal Push on said Glistener Elf. Then back to us. Well, our opponent's going to be really confused, but we're going to cast a turn 2 Trade Routes. Our opponent probably has no idea what's going on. Okay. Don't have another threat. That's pretty bad. That's a yikes. If they just had the Ink Moth, I think we would have been in a way better spot. I suppose we just kind of gotta hope we're not dead. If we don't die, we can Mystic Sanctuary, put the Fatal Push on top, then discard a land to draw a card and Fatal Push whatever they go in on. With that being their land drop, they're probably just going to take it slow. The question is, do we field the Pendlehaven or the Ink Moth now? I think it's still the Ink Moth Nexus. I will declare no blocks. I will take 2. That will then Field of Ruin your Ink Moth Nexus. And I will get an island. Well then, Mystic Sanctuary. Yes, I would like to put Fatal Push on top. I would like to discard a land and draw Fatal Push. And I would then like to cast Fatal Push. The reason why you do it on your turn is if they have the protection spell, they have to use it now. Noble Hierarch from our opponent. That's fine. And end of turn here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to return Mystic Sanctuary to our hand. And we're going to discard this Polluted Delta to draw a card. Okay. We will then Mystic Sanctuary, put the Polluted Delta on top. We will Yeah, I think we're going to discard this to draw a card. Then we will Fatal Push our opponent's Noble Hierarch. And pass the turn. Misty from our opponent. And I think we're just going to return Mystic Sanctuary again. Then we'll cast Opt. Yeah, we're in for that. Go to our turn, Mystic Sanctuary, put Fatal Push on top. Basically just set it up so Infect can never kill us. End of our turn, we can Vendilion Click, put this Pulse into our deck. Also start beating them down. Put Sanctuary back into our hand. Oh, that's actually pretty good because that gets us another black source, and I don't really want this Opt right now. So we'll Flooded Strand, attack. This is the point in paper where you just like put your hand down and be like, would you like to concede, opponent? We'll fetch end of turn, get a Breeding Pool. Ooh, baby. Sure, we'll put the Opt on top. Attack for 3. We'll return our land to our hand and draw a card. We will then put Cryptic on top of our deck. Now you're really getting to see what this deck does. Just puts the chokehold on your opponent. Infect definitely should be a good matchup. I would have assumed anyways. So here we're going to opt to draw this Cryptic. Thought Scour our opponent. 4-1. Then we will pick up Sanctuary again. Alright, and our opponent's seen enough. So, pretty good game for us there. What do we do in the sideboard against Infect? Pulses don't seem great, neither does Ashiok. Stroke doesn't seem that good. Collector Oof doesn't seem very good, neither does Weather. All of our removal seems pretty great. Surgicals don't really seem like where we want to be. Neither does Ceremonious. And we got 3 more cuts. I think the end of the story is probably going to be too cute. I think we're going to be winning the game before we really need to draw 4 cards. And I kind of feel the same way with the time warp. I think Trade Routes as like a value card will probably be fine for us against this deck. Just being able to pick up our Mystic Sanctuaries. Then I think Force of Negation is probably not that good. I think we don't want to just counter creature spells most of the time, or non-creature spells. We normally want to deal with their creatures. And I think that's what our main deck is set up, or not our main deck. I think that's what our deck is going to be set up to do now. So we're going to go ahead and try this. Okay. Double Mystic Sanctuary can be kind of awkward, but one will turn on the other one. And we do have Thought Scour, Trophy, Drown in hand. So I think that's the fine 7. It's not the best, but we'll make it work. Our opponent mulliganed and then decided to keep their 6. And they lead on a Glistener Elf. I want to get a breeding pool with this. Our life total doesn't really matter in this match, so we'll just play a Polluted Delta and pass. I'll declare no blocks. And I'll gladly take 1 Infect. Ooh, no second land from our opponent. That means they definitely have protection, so we're going to have to bait it out. Shock our breeding pool, Thought Scour our opponent. Okay. Well, our Mystic Sanctuaries will now be online. And we're just going to pass here. Let our opponent go to combat. Take the 1. If they decide to pump, we can kill it. If not, we will attempt to kill it end of turn. So we're going to try to trophy it. Looks like they're deciding to save it, which is fine. We'll just go ahead and kill it on our turn. Ooh. That'll be a good one for if they have a Blighted Agent next turn. So I think we will play our Polluted Delta, and we'll just drown in the lock this right now. And then we'll pass the turn. Next turn we can use the EE if we need a removal spell. Alright. Looks like we're in the clear. Grab ourselves an island. Mystic Sanctuary, can put Drown back on top. And we'll pass the turn. Alright, this time we will just put this Watery Grave into play tapped and pass. Trying to find a win con at this point. Okay. So I think we'll play a trade routes. I'll pay the 2 for the Spell Pierce. That was the wrong land. I was thinking of Trophy. Okay, our opponent doesn't go to combat anyways, so I should have bounced the Sanctuary there. But I'm not really interested in picking up this trophy. I guess like the Thought Scour would have been pretty free. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put the Thought Scour on top this time. And pass it to our opponent. What we can start doing now is just like bouncing our opponent's lands too. Yeah. So we're going to counter and return Breeding Pool to our opponent's hand. Then on our turn, we'll return Mystic Sanctuary. We'll eventually find a way to kill our opponent. Put Cryptic on top. Pass the turn. Thought Scour them. Alright, now our opponent's seen enough. Alright, so we're off to a 1-1 start with this deck. You really got to see the strength of it there in that matchup against Infect. Just being able to rebuy all your counter spells. Even Trade Routes on its own was pretty good. Sorry about that, chat. I had to sneeze. And yeah, this hand's fine. Some cheap disruption of a good way to gain a bunch of cards in the end. Ooh, Tar Pit Pass. I assume we're against Grixis. So against Grixis, do we want to Thoughtseize on 1? I actually don't think we do. I think we want to Thoughtseize on 2 against Grixis. So we're going to go Flooded Strand Pass here. The reason why I think we want to Thoughtseize on 2 is we want to try to hit like cards like Kolaghan's Command or Cryptic Command. And they really start coming online on turn 3. Might even be like blue-black fairies. Alright, so we're going to fetch here, grab our Watery Grave. Then Thought Scour our opponent. Ooh. Well, that's scary. That's not quite what we want to see, chat. I guess we'll Thoughtseize our opponent now. Push, Brutality, Rain of Tears. I guess we'll take the Rain of Tears because I really don't feel like getting Stone Rained. We're against like the Footsteps deck. And then I will just play this Scalding Tarn and pass. We can Fatal Push the Tar Pit if we ever need to. Yep, our opponent looks at our hand and chooses to gain 2, lose 2. We should on F6 though, because we want to fetch at the end of our opponent's turn, obviously. Yep, I was expecting either Into the Story or Drown to be the card they take there. Alright, and so we're going to fetch here and grab ourselves a Breeding Pool tapped. So here we'll play another Polluted Delta and pass the turn back to them, holding up Drown, Snapcaster, and Push. And I think we might just snap Thought Scour. It's really awkward. We actually need to hit our opponent again if we want this back, or this to be online. If our opponent just animates the Tar Pit, we'll obviously just Fatal Push it. Rain of Tears. Get out of here with that, opponent. You're not blowing up my lands. They're mine. Okay, so we know our opponent's hand now. So we'll get our other Watery Grave here. Okay. So we're going to play this and pass. And I think we're going to set up putting Into the Story on top of our deck. Is this an instant? It's not. Alright, so we're gonna start drawing some cards, trying to get ourselves back into this game, I think. And I think I'm down to draw another Thought Scour again too. Do I really want to, or do I just want to say no, sir? Yeah, I'm fine drawing Thought Scour. It's just like another redraw. Fetch from our opponent. So we still know the 2 cards in their hand. Alright, let's attempt it. Ooh, baby, that felt good. And then, since we know our opponent has... Oh, our opponent's done. We drew 4 cards, and our opponent's like, you know what? That's good enough. I've seen enough. So there's some sort of, like, Footsteps control deck from the looks of it. I assume the white's for, like, Obsidet. Explosives doesn't seem very good here. Plague Engineer doesn't seem very good here. Pulse is kind of funny and cute, actually. Stroke doesn't seem great based off what we've seen. Collector Oof and Weather the Storm don't seem great. Decay doesn't really seem worth it. Ceremonious doesn't really seem worth it. I think we... Now here's where we got to try to figure out what we do and don't want. Maybe the pulses are just too cute. I really don't want to, like, just give my opponent their thing back. Ashiok seems really good for that. Huh. I think we might trim a Thought Scour since we really don't want to mill our opponents. And we got 2 more cuts. They conceded to this card, so it's got to be good, right? The things we've seen, we don't really want a trophy. We don't really want a trophy a Woodfall Primus. So maybe we just bring in, like... Maybe we just take out a trophy. Yeah, we probably just take them all out, leaving some Thought Scours. Yeah, no. I like leaving one in to hedge a bet. Yeah, let's go ahead and try this. We don't really, like... We want to Thought Scour our opponent to fuel, like, our Into the Stories and our Drowns. But it's kind of awkward for the fact that they care about their graveyard. Maybe instead of the Ashiok and the Surgicals, this deck just wants, like, 4x Leyline of the Void in the sideboard. Although it kind of does the same thing as Ashiok, where it shuts off some of our cards. So, same thing. I think we're going to start with a turn 1 Opt here. Just off an island, I think. So we'll Opt, and then we'll probably Thoughtseize on our opponent's turn. Brutality, no discard. Well, that's fine. If you want to take the Opt, you can. Opt probably being, like, one of the worst, weaker cards in our hand. Kind of thinking about Fetch Shocking next turn, oddly enough, to Thoughtseize. In which case, maybe I was just supposed to hold up the Fetch. Okay, well, we're not going to get to Thoughtseize anyways unless we find it again. So we'll go ahead and Opt here. No, I don't really think we're looking for that right now. Oh, I'm an idiot. We should have taken out some Fatal Pushes. I totally, like, overlooked Fatal Push. That's easily, like, the worst card in our deck right now. We can probably, like, trim 1 to 2 push and bring in, like, 2 trophy again. Oh, feels bad, but we cannot let that resolve. That card would be way too good here. I suppose we could have just pushed it, actually. Yeah. I got scared because of the body, but I think that was probably a mistake. Yeah, that was definitely like an unneeded deprive there. That probably should have felt like a bait to me, even. I will float a blue. I think we just need to get our forest here. Yeah, so if I push the Regisaur instead of doing that stupid deprive play, we're probably in a way better spot. Now we're trying to fight through this Teferi. Yep, and now we're getting Stone Rained. Yeah, I don't really know how we answer this Teferi either. I am getting, like, brutally punished for having pushes instead of, interesting choice, but... Oh, okay. I see what you're doing, opponent. Cute. Is that an island? It is. I think we just get the Watery Grave tapped, though. We'll bottom that. We have plenty of answers to the Regisaur. I just really don't think I want to get Stone Rained again. Well, they got 2 lands in hand, and what cool stuff do they have in deck? 4 Woodfall. Yeah, so that's really it. So the only real way to win is like that or one more Tar Pit. I guess Snapcaster beats too. Okay. Opponent's deck super weird, but super cool. So that was one of the lands we knew they had. Okay, so that's a really good draw, because if we draw another land, that means we can... Well, if our opponent didn't have fucking Thoughtseize, we could have set up Cryptic, Bounce, Teferi, Drown Jace. Or, not Drown Jace. Drown Teferi, obviously. But they had the Thoughtseize. I should have just, like, let that Regisaur stick. And I could have just, like, pushed it. And then been in a way better place. But for some reason my brain was like, oh, I can counter that. Let's counter it. They have plenty of stuff in the yard, so I'm actually going to Thought Scour myself. Milled 2 lands, drew a Snapcaster. Not the worst. So we need to draw 3 lands in order to Snapcaster, Cryptic, hold up, Drown. This Teferi just feels brutal. And, like, I would have definitely had a trophy in my hand if I would have sideboarded correctly. I kind of want to make them have to deal with this. So I think we're going to just snap and opt here. No, we really, okay. Well, that sets up the Cryptic Drown play. Because we can get a Mystic from our deck. So we'll fetch, grab a Sanctuary, put Cryptic on top. Go to our turn, draw Cryptic. Return Jace to their hand, draw a card. If they have a counter spell, we just get to hit it with Teferi and slowly kill it. Awesome. Attack you. We'll attempt to drown your Teferi. Really wish I drew that Force now, but kind of had to play hoping that they wouldn't have a counter spell. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we can snap Cryptic. And I think we're going to Cryptic to return a permanent, draw a card. But we don't want to return Teferi. I think we actually want to return our Mystic Sanctuary. Play as land for turn. And put Thoughtseize on top. Yeah, I actually like putting Thoughtseize on top. Then we will Thought Scour our opponent. And pass. That was really good because Lily would have been an answer to the Snapcaster. So now we get to Thoughtseize, hope they don't have a removal spell. Disenchant, Footsteps, Woodfall. Well, I know we're not hitting... Actually... I think we just take the Disenchant, right? Leave them with essentially 3 dead cards in hand. Play our land for turn, go to combat, kill Teferi and pass. And now, like, I don't think there's a way we lose this game. Counter Lily, return our Mystic. Play Mystic Sanctuary, put Cryptic on top. Attack you for 2. Back to us. Go to combat. Attack you for 2. Mystic Sanctuary, put Deprive on top. All right. And we're 2-1 now. Our loss was to 5-color Niv Mizzet, which seems like a matchup we'll never win because they just like their deck's built to infinitely grind. Ours is built to grind, but not as much as theirs. And then we beat Infect, which seems pretty good because we have a lot of removal spells. And we just beat like the Esper Footsteps deck because this card is really good, I think, actually, now that I'm playing this deck. Mystic Sanctuary does feel pretty solid. I would love to join the match. Our opponent won the die roll this time, hit him with the GLHF. And, yeah, we're going to do our best Jund impression with this hand. Couple discard spells. Maybe potentially find another island. We can get Mystic Sanctuary going. I'm not super sure about discard spells in this deck. Typically, discard and counter spells don't work the best together. But I think we might just need more early interaction. And in Sultai, the next best early interaction is discard after Fatal Push. Our opponent's deciding if they want to keep their 6 or mulligan down to 5. While they do that, I'm going to tell you guys about our new stream lineup. So starting at the beginning of the week on Sunday, we have Russ. On Mondays, starting at 5:30, we have our podcast, Magic in the Making. And then we have our new limited streamer, Brenda, who streams on Mondays for us. On Tuesdays, we have Aaron streaming Legacy at 6 p.m. Thursdays, we have me streaming at 6 p.m., streaming whatever format I feel. Fridays, we got Josh streaming. And then on Saturdays, we have Juice streaming. So pretty stacked lineup is what we got going on right now. So our opponent led on Basic Island, which makes me feel like life total doesn't matter too much, but we are going to Inquisition here. Pretty exciting that we're finally going to be back on 7 days a week. It's been something we've been working on for a little bit. So our opponent doesn't have a third land. When we have another discard spell, Blood Moon is actually not that awkward with our hand, and we don't really care about Bolt, and we can take the Snapcaster next turn. So we're actually going to take the Opt, even though that seems kind of greedy and seems like we're just really trying to like get our opponent. That's kind of how our hand works right now and how theirs is going to line up. So they drew a cantrip, probably a Serum Visions, yep. Wait, you have an Ashiok in your sideboard. Ashiok makes Into the Story real unplayable. Why did you just deprive that? Sorry, I haven't been paying attention to chat. The Ashiok is really bad, and I already like completely agree with you on that. And I totally agree. I don't know why I deprived that. I will try to keep up with chat a little bit more. I know I haven't been super keeping an eye on it. They put one card on bottom, one on top, so they definitely have a land coming. I think we just take the Archmage's Charm and we can fetch a forest to be able to play around this Blood Moon. Oh, we know they have Bolt in hand too. Accidentally marked out Bolt. Sorry, like I said, I'm sorry for not paying so much attention to chat. This deck is very time consuming, so. So with this, I think I'm gonna get another Watery Grave and just Fatal Push. Because otherwise I don't really see our push doing a whole lot. They got Blood Moon, Bolt, and then an Unknown now. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and grab ourselves our other Watery Grave here. And just go ahead and Fatal Push this Snapcaster. That might have actually been a bad play because we don't really have anything we can Field of Ruin. Well, we get to snap Inquisition here at least. Thing in the Ice, Bolt, Blood Moon. We're going to take the Thing in the Ice. How'd they scry with Serum Visions? Put both cards on top. That's a yikes. That, like, feels like it's almost a guarantee they have a red source now. Because what else would they top at this point? Yeah. So now the question is, do they just jam the Blood Moon, in which case we don't have green mana, which is super awkward. We'll kind of have to find our forest. I didn't think about the fact that they had all basics in play. Well, we'll go ahead and take the Lightning Bolt out of their hand. And start getting them with the old Snapcaster beats, I suppose. Go to combat. Attack for 2. And play a Breeding Pool here. We'll make them think we're more screwed by the Blood Moon than we actually are. Serum Visions from the opponent now. Bottom, top. Alright, get in there, Snap. We're going to play an island here in case we draw a forest. Bunch of ops from our opponent. They kept both on top. That's not good for us. What you got, opponent? Lightning Bolt on Snap. Sure. Well, we got plenty of lands. If, well, I wouldn't even necessarily love it if there wasn't a Blood Moon in play. Maybe with how much our deck revolves around Mystic Sanctuary, I was actually supposed to take the Blood Moon. Yep. Draw your 2 cards, opponent. Yeah, I think this game's kind of slipping away from us. Well, they brainstormed, so. against the old Travis Hawk special here, Blue Moon. Well, it's a spell. They have plenty of things in the yard, so we'll Thought Scour ourselves. Well, that one doesn't quite do a whole lot now, does it? This thing looks weird on Moto. Sure. Put a stop in my upkeep. And we'll Thought Scour myself. Stop us from having to draw that bad card from Jace. Yeah, I mean, I suppose we cast it, right? It's not getting much better, unfortunately. You got it, opponent. Feel pretty dead right now. This feels like a rough, I think this matchup might be fine. I think I might have played it kind of badly. I think we should have at least one more basic in play. Although it would have probably been a forest anyways. Yep. I was maybe supposed to... Maybe I was supposed to fetch an island instead of this other watery grave. Well, did they put that on top, or did they? I would say they had to have put a card on bottom, right? We're gonna make them think we don't have it, since they don't actually know we have this forest. We need to draw something good, otherwise I'm probably just conceding. Oh, Blood Moon. Such a fair and balanced Magic card. Yeah. Don't think we're coming back from this one, so we'll go to the next game. Probably, like I said, I probably played that game a little poorly. I'm willing to admit it. It was kind of a weird one. Engineers don't seem good. Ashiok doesn't seem that good. Stroke might be okay. Oof and Weather the Storm don't really seem like where we want to be. Same with Surgical. Ceremonious doesn't seem that great. We'll probably trim a Fatal Push because they have other win cons other than Thing in the Ice. These Pulses might not be that good. But Pulse is a pretty grindy card. We'll probably, I think we'll trim a Thought Scour since they're a Snapcaster deck. Is there any way to, like, make our mana better? We can probably trim another push. Then maybe the Stroke isn't worth it, since it's probably, like, only Jace. maybe cryptics also. Could also just like not see this force being great. Yeah, I think we probably want stroke over force. We just don't want to have to go down a card. Yeah, I think we'll try this. I would like to be on the play this game. Yeah, this hand's fine. It's not great. We have to fetch a non-basic, but we'll be able to get Drown online pretty fast. Maybe we're supposed to trim a Pulse and just only have one in the deck. And then have kept in like another Fatal Push, or maybe the Force. Blue Moon's always a weird matchup to sideboard against. Well, there's another Drown. Alright. Misty, say go. We can get ourselves an island off the Misty if we prefer. Probably snap Thought Scour next turn. Well, we will see our Snapcaster aplenty this game. Yeah, it's possible we only want one Pulse. We might actually, instead of Snap Thought Scour, we'll probably just Pulse of Marasa on our turn, actually. Or on at our opponent's end step. I think I'd rather Pulse of Marasa. That way we can fetch our Swamp out of our deck. Well, I suppose... Nah, I kind of want to Snap Thought Scour. Remand from our opponent's Spell Snare. Well, that's rude. Alright, we will... not shock and pass. We don't have enough black mana. Fetch from our opponent, probably... Oh, getting another island. Interesting. Thought for sure that one would get like a Steam Vents. Basic Mountain from our opponent. And we will attempt to Pulse of Marasa back the fetch land. And it resolves. Alright. So we can play our fetch and pass. Then we can get a Mystic Sanctuary. Well, not gonna let that one resolve. We will counter draw with Cryptic Command. If they slam like a Jace or something, we have Trophy. Yeah, this smells like a Jace. Yep. That's fine. All they're going to get out of it is a brainstorm. Alright, so here we're going to get ourselves a Mystic Sanctuary. Put Cryptic Command on top of our deck. Draw Cryptic, play this for land. And we're just going to go ahead and trophy this right now. And pass it over to our opponent. Sure, you have an opt. If our opponent ever goes for something I don't like, we can Cryptic bounce the Mystic Sanctuary. Just keep redoing that. If they don't go for anything, we'll probably just attempt to Pulse of Marasa back the Snapcaster Mage. Our opponent shocks. How much do we care about Blood Moon? I think enough, unfortunately. What if we put something on top? I don't think we really want to. I think we'd rather have more basics in case this falls through. Oh well. So is this a bait for another Jace? Oh, okay. Well, it kind of feels bad to pick up the Mystic Sanctuary and then just have a second Blood Moon, but not much we could have done about that. So now we can pick up Snapcaster, but we can't do anything with it. Yeah, I guess we just play our land and pass. Now we're in a kind of awkward spot because we don't have... Oh no, we can pick up our Snapcaster and then we can Snapcaster Thought Scour. We're unfortunately searching for our one of Forest here. Or our one of Swamp, I mean. So I think we have to like Thought Scour our opponent. Okay. Well, not much we can do about a Spell Pierce there. Well, if we ever draw another island, that'll be good. Yep. That means we probably lose the Cryptic. Interesting. Is this a bolt? This is look at the... No? I don't know what this is. Oh. Oh, we're back on the drawing, hopefully drawing more basics plan. Maybe getting the Sanctuary was greedy, but it felt like... It felt like Cryptic could get us back into this game. And I think it still might be able to. Okay. So I want to try to do all this before my opponent gets to... Spell Snare is such a good card, but it's so tilting when it's the last card in their hand. Yeah, league's going okay. We're 2-1 right now. Probably set up to be 2-2, unfortunately. But there's always a chance to prize in the last round, so... Blood Moon pretty good against us. It's pretty hard to have your deck revolve around like a synergies with a non-basic and still fetch up your basics. So I think we're gonna just end up getting beaten down by this click. We dealt with a lot of our opponent's stuff though. We had the Cryptic Chain going with Mystic Sanctuary, but we had to counter a Blood Moon, and then they played another Blood Moon. If it was like a Jace or something, we could have dealt with it, but it was unfortunately back-to-back Blood Moons. We had a chance to fetch a Swamp earlier, but I ended up getting the... Or no, because the Mystic Sanctuary was off a Tarn. We had a chance to get a Swamp at some point, but... I think we got a Watery Grave to like Fatal Push something. I don't remember now. Or maybe, I think we got the Breeding Pool. Yep. We are just gonna die. Blood Moon is such a fun Magic card. It's really punishing my greedy mana base. Yep. Fairly certain this game's unwinnable, but we'll give it one more turn. And does the draw step matter? It does not. GG's opponent. Yeah, you know. Blood Moon just casually punishing the quote-unquote greedy 5 basic 3-color mana base. It'd be like that some days. That's kind of one of the awkward things with this land is that it's an island that gets Blood Mooned. Don't know how super popular Blood Moon is right now. I know I play a couple in my sideboard, and Blue Moon is a deck, but I don't know how common of a deck it is. This deck feels really good though. Its grind is actually kind of crazy. Just like so many ways to like bounce, like Cryptic, counter something, bounce your Mystic Sanctuary, or like Cryptic, bounce your Mystic Sanctuary, draw a card. You just like, you have so many loops because there's so many ways to bounce this. Deprive, bounce it, draw, or bounce it. Trade routes, bounces it. The deck's designed really well. Taking some time to find an opponent this round. One thing I was talking about is Ashiok's really awkward with Into the Story, but I don't know. I thought maybe we should have Leyline of the Voids, but they're probably just as awkward. Once again, we are not playing Hearthstone, so I will go ahead and mulligan. This hand needs some lands, but I think we'll make it work. Probably bottom this Cryptic. Well, actually, yeah, we're going to bottom the Cryptic. The Snapcaster can be an opt, a push, or a trophy. And it will probably be a trophy. Well, if we can hit a green or black source off this opt, we're looking like we'll be in a really good spot. Ancient Stirrings from our opponent. They find the mine. We have more black sources, so I suppose it is correct to get the breeding pool. There we go. So you're saying there's a chance. We will set a stop on our opponent's draw step. Inside your draw step, opponent, I would like to Assassin's Trophy your Urza's Mine. So we get to trophy a land, field a land, and then snap trophy a land. Unfortunately, the problem with this deck is this deck does not win the game. This deck is a very, very slow deck for winning the game. Okay. So field, pass to our opponent. Let's see what they grab here. I assume they just grab the mine. That seems like the pretty level 1 grab. And then their draw step. Fun fact, because they they played this without looking for it. You should hit the power plant, because if they have to use the tower to find Tron, it gives them less mana. It's a little Tron fact from the Tron guys. It's a secret we always use with our ghost quarters that not many people know. So we're going to grab an island here so that way our Mystic Sanctuaries are online. And it's possible we're even gonna... Well, that card's not fun. It's possible we just click our opponent. Do we want the opt? If we are clicking our opponent, we definitely put the trophy on top. Well, I guess we'll see what we draw. So... does that mean we have to trophy the Karn? And then just like, if we get Troned, we get Troned? I think that's what that means. Because I can't really let our opponent Stone Rain us every turn. Yeah, this seems like a really rough matchup for us. Tron's normally really good into, like, all of these, like, dirtly decks. Are they, like, mono green Eldrazi Tron? Weird. Yep. Now we can probably never win this game. I guess we kill Karn in 2 with the Vendilion Click. But our opponent gets to double Stone Rain us. So we have outs. Wait, what? Okay. So we pulse back this. No, we push the liquid metal coating. And then we go to combat, attack Karn. Then I suppose we opt. We definitely want that. Then we'll put opt back on top. So now we can... Yeah, it's an Eldrazi Tron deck. Interesting. Weird. Mono green Eldrazi Tron. Spicy. Sure, you get a 1/1. I guess this stops me from killing Karn. Click you. We will take the other Karn away from you. So now we draw an opt. We pulse back field. Play field. We'll actually wait on that. 3, 4, 5. Attack Karn for 3 in the air. Sure. Of course. Of course, they just fucking have Tron. Yep. It's gonna be probably impossible to beat this ballista. Man, that's a bummer. I feel like we played so well, too. Maybe we weren't supposed to take the Karn, but, like, I just didn't want them to have castable threats. I needed them to, like, only have one threat for a turn. Now we have this Thoughtseize that'll just whiff. We'll opt. Bottom of Misty. Suppose this gets back a Fatal Push for a turn. Field him off Tron. Grab an island. They're out of basics. That's good to know. I'm not going to F6 through their whole turn. I'm just doing it for a second. Oh, they're just pumping Ballista. Got it. We'll take 8. We'll take 9. We're just dead still, right? No, not quite. We can put Pulse on top. So we'll put Pulse of Marasa on top of our library. Cast Pulse targeting Snapcaster. Cast Snapcaster. Snapcaster Fatal Push. Push the Ballista. Well, we're fighting our hardest. Alright, we got 2 more draw steps to try to get out of this. Rather fetch. The other Pulse would be gas here. Oh, am I just dead? Basically dead to that. Yep. Super unfortunate they got Tron that turn. They only had 2 draws for it. But that's what Tron does sometimes. EE into the story doesn't seem worth it. Force and click. Plague Engineer doesn't seem great. Pulse seems awkwardly good at just like rebuying my Snapcasters. Weather the Storm doesn't seem like where we want to be. Neither does Decay, really. Rejection seems great. Surgical's great with Field and Trophy. I know we've seen things that push was good against, but I think we just don't want push. Maybe these pulses are just too cute. Well, they get back Field of Ruins. Maybe Drown isn't good. Maybe we like trim a Drown. Yeah, I feel like the combo just like isn't gonna get there. I wouldn't like the Ashiok if they weren't the Eldrazi version. Suppose we can probably trim like a Thought... Well, Thought Scour is what makes Drown even remotely playable. We need the click to kill them. Maybe this is just too cute. Yeah, maybe we'll... Yeah. I think it's probably better than Ashiok, actually. It's probably better than Drown, too. No, I don't actually buy that, because Drown can kill Ballistas. Yeah. We're going to try this. I'm not sure. This matchup seems really rough for us. I feel like we might just, like, not have a fast enough win condition. Like, am I supposed to keep this off the back of Inquisition? I think the answer is yes. Like, we have Inquisition, Drown, Snapcaster if we need it. I assume we're getting Once Upon a Time here. I mean... We gotta take the map because it's the only thing that guarantees Tron. Hot take, by the way. I'm not sold on Once Upon a Time in Tron. In the Eldrazi shell, it may be better because you play more creatures. But in traditional, I think it's worse than, like... I think it's like a meta call thing. Like, if you don't want to play Karn or Relic, you can probably put some in. Nice. But it's moments like that, like... It's definitely not better than Sylvan Scrying. Like, there's just so many times where I would rather be able to get a guaranteed land for 2 mana. Like, sure, this didn't cost our opponent anything, but it didn't really, like, do anything. We're gonna counter that. Black, blue. This feels bad, but we're definitely just like trophying our opponent here. Tron is so good at beating decks like this that just, like, don't do anything for half the game. Like, in order to beat Tron, you need Disruption plus a clock. not one or the other. Well, sometimes you can win with just a clock if your clock's fast enough, but you can't just beat Tron by, you know, destroying a land each turn. I think I might actually like pulse back a land, pulse back the Delta this turn. I just like want to hit land drops. We can snap trophy our opponent. I actually don't think we snap trophy. I think we... just hold up Cryptic. Get back polluted Delta, I suppose. That's pretty good. That's what I was going to search up anyways. Go ahead, opponent. This lets us trophy them more. I just, like, don't care about the blast zone. Yep, so we're going to fetch here. Get a Mystic Sanctuary. Put the trophy on top. Then we will counter draw. On our turn, we'll Mystic Sanctuary the Cryptic back on top. Put a stop on our opponent's draw step. Black, green, trophy. Well, that's no bueno. I think I gotta try to hit a drown in the lock here. Feels bad. Man, this matchup is just abysmal. So I think what we're gonna do is we're going to Snapcaster Mage. Return the Mystic Sanctuary. And tap our opponent's team. Stirrings from our opponent. They get another Tron land, so we will probably end up, especially if, yeah. 8 mana. So we snap Trophy. God, this matchup feels so bad. I guess we'll put the counter spell on top in case they ever get to cast it. Instead of stopping their draw step. Yep. Search up your power plant, opponent. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they're at essentially 9 mana. I'm trying my hardest, but this matchup does not seem good. You just it's like I was saying, you just can't kill your opponent fast enough. So we'll take 6. Hopefully they don't flip a land. Yep. Now we get Ulamogged when we don't have Cryptic mana up. Yeah, I think this deck probably needs, like, at least one more Field of Ruin. If you, like, really... Sure. I guess it doesn't matter what they hit. If you, like, realistically want to try to beat Tron with this deck, you need at least one more field. And, like, even that's not necessarily good enough. Because, like, as you've seen, we kept them off Tron this game. It's just we, like, couldn't deal with them casting things. Okay. Yep. You got a thought knot, opponent. Meanwhile, they're just at the casual 26. We'll up. We'll bottom. Rough game. Rough league. Pretty... Feels like we were pretty close to prizing. Thoughts on the deck? I think the deck's really cool and really fun. Not sure what I would change, if anything. I, like, want another field, but I'm not really sure what to cut. Maybe we just go to 10 fetch lands and play a second field. I just, like, even playing a second field, you're probably still not beating Tron, but it's something. This Ashiok should become something else because it's really bad with Drown and Into the Story. Maybe it should just be like an extra Force of Negation or an extra Disdainful Stroke. Other than that, I'm not really sure. I think this deck's fine. It's cool. It's probably the best feeling Sultai shell I've played in Modern, which is saying not much, but it's saying something. So, alrighty. Before I hop off, as per usual, we want to hop back over to momsbasementgames.tcgplayerpro.com and tell you guys to buy all your Magic cards from there. If you're looking for some basic lands to bling out your deck, some Chandras to burn people out in Standard, or Drawn from Dreams if you really got that fire burning inside you, momsbasementgames.tcgplayer.com has you covered. Everybody watching on YouTube in the future, thank you again. Check down in that description box below for all the links I'm going to be talking about. But again, try to watch us live on Twitch sometimes. Everybody watching live on Twitch right now and on YouTube in the future, thank you guys. Try to give us a like on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at momsbasementmtg. And on top of that, everybody watching on YouTube or on Twitch right now, thank you. And try to hop over to our YouTube channel for the best Standard, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Commander, and Pauper content. On top of that, I would super appreciate it if you guys all gave me a follow on Twitter. My Twitter is at RichardTMTG. I talk Magic, memes, League, anything else you really want to talk about, hit me up. I'm always willing to talk. For some extra social medias, you can find us on Instagram at Mom's Basement Games for Mom's Basement Games. Or you can find me on Instagram at RichieT2196. But with all that, I'm going to get this deck returned and get me some food. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful Thursday.